No matter how long you've worked hard and built up, everything can collapse in an instant. The words released from a young girl's carefree smile were just too cruel. You're fired as of today, Joe. I couldn't comprehend what she said. Looking back, I guess I just didn't want to accept reality. After all, if I hadn't helped this girl at that time, none of the events that followed would have happened. Hey, Joe, you doing all right? While at work, my colleague, Bob, grinning oddly, came up to me. I'm not too busy right now. What's up? It's about the report you made recently. Can you explain it to me? What? I explained it in the last meeting, didn't I? Well, yes, but I'm a bit unclear about these specific details. Saying that, Bob, holding the project proposal I had recently made, came over to my desk, and I explained the plan to him again. The questions he asked were mostly what I had already covered in the meeting, but I guess it's human to forget sometimes. After listening to my explanation till the end, Bob seemed satisfied, said thanks, man, and went back to his desk. My name is Joe. Currently, I'm working as a contract employee in sales at an IT company. Although my role is in sales, I've been tasked with various jobs like creating project proposals I've never done before. After I reported back to my boss the information gathered from customers, he wanted to develop plans that incorporate user feedback. Of course, since my main duty is sales, the project proposals were something I worked on diligently in my spare time. One day, all of us who were contract employees at the company were called together by our boss. Everyone's here, good. Today, I have some work-related announcements and want to update you on the current situation. Hearing this so suddenly made us a bit anxious, wondering if our contracts were about to be terminated. Ignoring our nervousness, Bob and a few others who were suddenly called by the boss stepped forward from our group. The IT industry is growing every year. Even among those who are here as contract employees, if someone stands out, we are actively looking to offer them full-time, permanent positions in discussions with the staffing agency. This month, we've decided to offer these 3 individuals permanent positions. Watching them as the boss spoke, I noticed the 3 standing in front, all listening proudly to his words. Indeed, in terms of performance, those 3 had always been at the top. All right, now, I'd like each of the 3 to give a brief greeting. Their statements were safe, expressing joy at being recognized and offered permanent positions. I listened absent-mindedly as the first 2 basically said the same thing. I guess it's something far from my reach. Just thinking. Then, it was Bob's turn. I'm Bob from the sales department. I'm really happy to be offered a full-time position and being recognized for my work so far. I'll continue to do my best to lead everyone. His words sounded somewhat insincere. As he finished, our eyes met. I had been watching him somewhat blankly. His expression was somewhat smug, and it wasn't exactly pleasant to watch, but I told myself that it was a good thing to see someone being recognized by the company. I turned my gaze away from Bob and looked back at the boss as he resumed speaking. After the announcement about the 3 contract employees becoming full-time, everyone began to return to their workstations. Just behind me, I heard 2 female colleagues chatting. Wow, moving from a contract to a full-time position is impressive, isn't it? Definitely. It's like a sign for us to work harder. Really motivating. But, you know, I heard something in my department. Apparently, it's tough after you join here. Tough after joining. What do you mean? Like today, the 3 contract workers became full-timers, right? Yeah. But last month, about 6 people resigned, I heard. And it seems more were encouraged to leave than just the 6 who actually did. Whoa. So if the company decides you're not good enough, it's pretty much like being fired, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. The CEO's been heavily involved in reviewing personnel. Thinking about today's 3, it's hard to just feel happy for them. I know, right? Maybe I should ask for a different assignment. Well, it seems we aren't demanded as much while we're still on contract. That's true. Starting over at a different company would be too much. Although we're all on assignment from the same company, my department doesn't talk about these things. Listening to the conversation behind me, I started to think maybe this place isn't for me. Each employee has their strengths and weaknesses, and their own circumstances. Pushing for resignations without considering these aspects seems questionable. While thinking this, I went back to work. At my desk, I saw the manager talking to Bob. I could just barely hear their conversation. "You've already finished today's quota." "Well, Bob, you're amazing. It's all thanks to our customers being so cooperative. Having you join our company is a great strength. Keep up the good work." "Thank you for the praise. I'll do my best." "Well, I should get back to it." Bob finished the conversation and returned to his seat, next to mine. "Hey, Joe, still got that many mails to go through?" "Yeah, there's a lot of inquiries." "What about you? Finished already?" "Of course, I'm done. Just use a template for email responses. Finish them quickly, like everyone else." "A template? But customer inquiries are so varied. How can you use templates for that?" "It's fine. If you spend too much time on emails and miss contracts, it's pointless." "What? You reply to each email individually?" "Yeah, I do. That's why you're slow." "Makes sense now." Bob starts typing on his keyboard with a faint smile. "Well, I understand what he's saying isn't wrong, but I just can't quite agree with it. Our interactions with customers directly represent the company. That's why I resist using a slightly modified version of the same message. And yeah, like Bob says, that's why my work isn't very fast. Halfway through the month, and I'm barely meeting half my quota. Proof of my pace." Frustrated, I realized there's no point in stopping now. I went back to responding to each customer email, one by one. A week after Bob became a permanent employee, Bob and I were scheduled for a final meeting with a company we had been in discussions with, necessitating a trip. Initially, the client wasn't very receptive, but persistent communication and pitching, even giving advice not beneficial to our company, made this deal too important to lose. So, I headed to the location with extra determination. Wonder if we'll make it in time for tomorrow's negotiation, I muttered to myself, arriving alone at the airport. I was to receive updates from Bob if anything came up, but so far, nothing. I had heard the meeting was scheduled for tomorrow, and making it by then shouldn't be a problem. With that thought, I decided to check into my hotel first. Catching a taxi from the airport, I arrived at the hotel I had reserved in advance. I dropped my luggage in the lobby, checked in, and headed to my room. But then I started wondering what to do next. It was just past noon. I had already gone through my work documents at the airport, and I'd been checking my phone frequently, but there weren't any urgent queries I needed to address. Even though it was a business trip, the idea of going out for sightseeing alone didn't sit right with me. Well, it's boring to just stay in the room, so maybe I'll just wander around for a bit. I left my room key with the front desk again and exited the hotel. I didn't know much about the surrounding area, but I thought a casual walk wouldn't hurt. Just as I started walking, and only a few feet from the hotel, I noticed a young girl standing alone, looking downward. At first, I observed her from a distance, but as she seemed not to move, my concern grew, and I approached her. "What's wrong? Why are you standing here by yourself?" "I got separated from my mom." "That's rough. I'm not familiar with this area, so I don't know where the nearest police station is." "Did you come here with your mom?" "Yes, but we had an argument." It was a weekday afternoon, and I wondered what her mother was thinking, feeling a slight irritation, but I continued to listen to the girl. "I ran away after we fought, and then I got lost." "Ran away? That's a problem. All right, let's get you home. Do you think you can find your way back from here?" The girl quietly shook her head. "Can't remember the way. It's too far. I can't go home alone." "How did you get here?" "By airplane." "I see. They must have come here on a trip. In that case, the best option might be to head to the hotel her parents are staying at." Handing her over to the staff, there could be a solution. "Do you know which hotel you're staying at?" "I wanted to stay at that hotel. She even promised me before we came here. But when we arrived, they said there was no room." She pointed to the hotel I had just come out of. I see. So, maybe I should take her back to the hotel and ask them to take care of her." "What's your name, young lady?" "Amy." "Amy, huh? How old are you?" 6. First grade in elementary school. I need to figure this out quickly, or people might start suspecting me of wrongdoing. Thinking this, I took her hand and walked back to the hotel to explain the situation at the front desk. About her parents. "Oh, I'm not asking for their contact details. Could you possibly reach out to them?" "Understood. In that case." I asked the girl for her mother's name and relayed it to the hotel staff. They said they could contact her mother using the reservation list. So for the time being, we sat down on a sofa in the lobby. Why did you have a fight with your mom? I was being selfish. My mom got angry. I see. I don't know what you asked for, but you acknowledge it was selfish, and that's why your mom got mad, right? Yes. I don't think your mom would get mad out of the blue. If you think you did something wrong, do you think you can apologize? Yes, I can. But, I'm afraid my mom might hate me now. That won't happen. I don't think a mother could ever hate her daughter. Do you think she'll come to pick me up? She will. And when she does, you apologize, okay? If it's hard, I'll help you say sorry. While we were talking, the employee who had been on the phone in the lobby approached us. Sorry for the wait. I've spoken with her mother, and she'll be here in about 15 minutes. Ah, is that so? Thank you very much. Sorry for the trouble. No problem at all. Will you be waiting here? Yes, I'll stay here with her. Understood. The employee replied politely before returning to their station. That's great, Amy. Your mom will be here soon. Yeah, I'll apologize properly. Good for you. You don't have to say if you don't want to, but why did you argue with your mom? Well, I really wanted to stay at this hotel, but when we got here with my mom earlier, they said there were no rooms available. No rooms. Oh, maybe the reservation didn't go through. I don't know. We chatted about various things to distract her. As I was expecting her mother to arrive soon, my phone suddenly rang. Ah, Amy, just wait a sec. Okay. Oh, is it work? Yes. Just sit here for a bit. I told Amy to wait and stepped aside to take the call. Hello. Hey, where are you? Bob, is that you? I'm at the hotel I mentioned earlier. All right. Sorry about that. I guess I didn't properly inform you. What are you talking about? The meeting. The schedule was changed to today. Since you didn't show up, I went by myself. But no worries, I managed to secure the contract, so I'm heading back now. It was so sudden, I couldn't find the right words to say. Bob continued in a tone that sounded almost like he was mocking me, smirking through the phone. Sorry about that, but hey, be thankful. I nailed the contract. You're there till tomorrow, right? Oh, if you want to take it as a personal day, better call the office now. Wait, Bob. All right, catch you later. Maybe day after tomorrow. He hung up abruptly, and I was left in disbelief. No, something was off. This project had been my responsibility for nearly half a year. I hadn't received any notification about the meeting date change, and Bob hadn't mentioned anything either. As I stood there, taken aback, my thoughts were interrupted by a loud voice calling out from the lobby entrance. Amy. A woman, presumably Amy's mother, hurried over to her and embraced her lovingly. I put away my phone and walked towards them. I decided to set aside my work concerns for now. My mind was too clouded with surprise and dismay. I had to focus on the matter at hand. Approaching them, I said, Amy, I'm glad you found your mom. Thank you, Mr. Amy. Why did you? Mom, I'm sorry for being selfish. Amy, I promised this gentleman I'd apologize properly. So, I'm sorry. Hearing Amy's words, her mother turned to me. Looking at her face, I was surprised. I recognized her. It wasn't mutual though. I knew of her, but she didn't know me. My daughter seems to have caused you some trouble. I'm very sorry and thank you for your help. No, I didn't really do much. I just got the hotel staff to contact you, that's all. But you talked to me and kept me company, so I wasn't lonely, Amy added. Is that so? My daughter says so, and I want to thank you properly. Her name was Michelle. She was the CEO of the company I was currently assigned to. Why was she here? And she has a daughter this old. There were several things I wanted to ask, but I knew this wasn't the right time. So, without delving into those questions, I asked Michelle about the hotel reservation. Ah, Michelle, I heard from your daughter that there was an issue with the hotel reservation. Yes, embarrassingly, I'm not very accustomed to making reservations myself. That made sense. The secretarial staff at her company is known for being exceptionally capable. So, if it's all right with you, I've actually rented 2 rooms here, and you can use one of them. Excuse me. Well, I came here for a business meeting today and had booked 2 rooms at this hotel, one for my colleague and one for myself. But, due to a misunderstanding with the schedule, my colleague's room is now unexpectedly available. I was even thinking of canceling my room and heading back, but if that's the case, yay. Mom, we can stay in the room, right? But I thought it might be better to use one room than to pay cancellation fees for two, and your daughter seems happy about it too. All right, I'll take you up on your offer, but could I make one request? A request? I wondered what it could be. She then asked if we could have dinner together. It was a bit early for dinner, but after changing in my room, I waited for them in the lobby. Sorry to keep you waiting. Careful, Amy. Don't run. You might fall. Good evening. Don't worry. I've already made reservations for dinner. Michelle, the company CEO, gave her a smile and glanced nervously at the hotel's front desk. The employee at the front desk probably didn't think much of it. They nodded to us politely. It seemed she didn't want to risk making the same mistake again and had given up on making reservations herself. Mom, I told you to let me handle it. I didn't want you to get flustered again, and I thought it might trouble the gentleman here. Amy, you don't need to say that. Let's head to the restaurant. I've arranged for a car. Urged by Michelle, we headed out of the hotel and into a taxi waiting at the entrance, off to the restaurant Michelle had arranged. After about a 10-minute drive, we arrived at a luxurious restaurant, the kind I, as a contract worker, wouldn't normally even consider approaching. Is it okay for me to be dressed so casually? It's a friend's place. They're usually quite accommodating. Oh, and they'll probably seat us in a private room, but I hope that's okay. Unlike our first meeting, she spoke with a much calmer demeanor, conversing with the staff at the entrance. After a brief wait, a man resembling a manager appeared and welcomed us. Sorry for my casual attire. Not at all. If you're an acquaintance of Michelle, don't worry about such formalities. Please, relax and enjoy your evening here. I was impressed again by her influence. We were escorted through a passage not usually frequented by guests, to a lavish room. Any preferences? If not, I can choose for us. Please, go ahead. I wouldn't know where to begin with this menu. She quietly laughed and placed our order with the attendant in the room. It wasn't until after an inexplicable toast that I finally spoke up again. So, yes. What is it? I actually know about you. Oh, do you? Yes. My name is Joe, and I'm a contract worker at your company. Oh, I see. I'm sorry, I didn't realize. No, it's fine. I wouldn't expect the CEO to remember the face and name of every contract employee. I appreciate you saying that. But I heard you were here for a business deal earlier. Yes, I was supposed to meet with a company we've been in talks with for a long time to finalize a new contract, but it seems I got the date wrong. So, the contract didn't go through. My colleague went in my place. It sounds like they managed to secure the contract. I see. I'm not very good at getting things done quickly. My colleague often points it out, and even I'm aware of it. If you're aware of it, isn't there room for improvement? I know it might not be right to say this to the CEO, but I don't want to improve in that area. Why's that? If improving would lead to better numbers and evaluations, wouldn't you want to? Sure, better performance and evaluations are great, but changing how I work would mean losing the thoroughness I value. That doesn't feel right to me. Thoroughness. I want to give proper attention to everyone. Even if a customer isn't leading to a contract, if they need my help, I want to listen and assist. That's something I hold dear and want to keep acting on. Michelle looked surprised as she listened. Then suddenly, she spoke up. That mindset is very important. I can say I've always held on to that. With no one to rely on, under the scrutiny of the public, leading an organization, I've always thought I had to be strong. And honestly, I still do. But even knowing this, I've had my moments of doubt. Questions like, is this business strategy right, or should I always move as efficiently as possible? I've made decisions I wouldn't discuss with someone like you, for the sake of the company. But because of that, I pushed others away, including my daughter's father. I've regretted it. I've always thought I need to be sincere with those I face, but I've never managed to do it well. So, I don't think you should force yourself to change what you value. Mom, stop talking about work with him. It's boring. Sorry, Amy. Amy, when you were in trouble, do you think everyone would have helped you like he did? Amy thought for a moment, then shook her head. Right, maybe some people thought, poor girl, but didn't do anything. But this man here spoke to you, Amy. He's amazing, isn't he? Yeah. He helped me right away and even made me reconcile with Mom. So, Joe, I think you should be more proud of your approach and beliefs. Suddenly encouraged, I felt a bit lighter. Then Amy chimed in, saying, no more work talk. So, that topic was closed. Now, we're walking back. On the way here, we took a taxi, but now, I'm carrying a sleepy Amy on my back. I'm really sorry about this. Don't worry about it. She's light, and it's no trouble. I've been reflecting on how I've made her feel lonely. But she's a good, honest girl. If she only felt lonely, she wouldn't be this open. Thank you for saying that. We're walking back to the hotel. I won't forget this favor, ever. Huh? What was that? Nothing. Just talking to myself. The next day, back from my trip, I cautiously noticed an unfamiliar envelope on my desk at the office. Good morning, Joe. Before I could make sense of it, Bob approached me as I was opening the envelope. Oh, what's that you've got there? Getting fired, are you? That's tough. But it's not surprising. Someone like you is just a liability to the company. What was placed on my desk was a termination notice. I couldn't understand how things had come to this so suddenly. And of course, the company wasn't going to wait for me to figure it out. Whatever. But since you are fired as of today, hurry up and clear your desk, okay? You don't expect me to do it for you, do you? Got it. I checked with the manager. Once you've sorted out your personal stuff, you can leave. See ya. I no longer had the energy to be affected by Bob's words. I quickly organized my desk, putting what I needed into my bag, and systematically handed over any ongoing work to other colleagues. Once everything was settled, I shredded any documents that couldn't be handed over and thanked my teammates and colleagues. It felt anticlimactic after all my hard work. Finally, I expressed my gratitude to my manager and left the office. Informed in the morning, and by 3 p.m., I was ready to leave. A surprisingly abrupt end. After all my diligent work, this was the outcome. Standing in front of the elevator, I pressed a button to go down, lost in thoughts. At this time of day, the elevator was empty. I found myself reflecting on the events of just a few days ago. The mismatched dinner at that upscale restaurant. The gratitude and encouragement from the CEO during that dinner. The woman named Michelle thanking me. Yet, here I am in this situation. Suddenly dismissed and ousted from the place I've worked so hard in. I couldn't make sense of how things had come to this. In the end, she was probably just saying whatever sounded right. Just like Bob and the other colleagues. They don't genuinely engage with people, only seeing things in terms of numbers. I guess that's just how it is there. That's why I never quite fit in. To truly engage with people takes time. Time is tied to metrics, defining what is meaningful and what isn't. If it's not considered meaningful, no effort is spared. I understand that such a perspective is necessary for running a business. But then why did she say, you should be proud of your approach back then? I sighed heavily. There's no point in pondering this now. I'm being ousted from the company, and no amount of reflection will change that. The elevator reached the first floor, announcing my arrival with its doors opening. Time to say goodbye, I thought, though I wasn't really in the mindset for such reflections. That's when I was unexpectedly greeted. Hey, it's you. Hi there, Amy. She wasn't to blame for any of this. It didn't feel right to be cold to her. So, when she called out and ran towards me, I greeted her with a smile. Hey, are you going somewhere? Yeah, well, today's my last day. Oh, Mom said that today you'd be fired. Her words were so frank, they cut right through me. I couldn't help but let out a wry laugh at the sheer bluntness of it. Hey Amy, don't run. Michelle's voice came from behind me. I tensed up involuntarily, breaking into a nervous sweat, probably fueled by a surge of anger-like emotions. Joe, where to? Where to? You're the one who issued the termination. I'm fired. Huh? Haven't you heard? It's true you're being terminated, but... Her cryptic response made me turn around. She looked apologetic yet somewhat uneasy. Your contract as a temp is ending, but we're bringing you on board officially. I thought that was conveyed to you. Huh? I see. The message wasn't properly relayed. That's troubling. It seemed she had just connected the dots. Michelle, the CEO, held her head and let out a small sigh. Let's not talk here. Come to my office. I found myself back in the elevator, By the way, Amy, it would be nice if you could stop playfully nudging my leg. Her high spirits indicated she meant no harm. Once in the office, Michelle quickly explained the mix-up. So, I'm terminated today and then rehired in the secretarial department. Yes, starting tomorrow. Actually, I'd like you to be my personal assistant. This is a bit much, isn't it? And why not just employ me directly? It's complicated. Going directly from a contract to a regular position has limits in terms of salary increase. It's easier to terminate and then rehire. I don't really get all that. I told you I wouldn't forget this favor. I've always struggled to connect with people genuinely. After some thought, I concluded it's best to have someone capable of that by my side. So, it seemed I was to become her personal observer. Take your stuff to the secretarial department. Your new workspace is ready. Originally, we planned to move your things tomorrow, but since you've already packed, take them now. After getting the full story, I left her office, heading to my new position in the secretarial department. Happy yet overwhelmed, I wondered how I would adjust to this sudden change. But well, I'll manage somehow. Now, I find myself in a completely different role, but feeling like I'm making a difference. Of course, there are times when Michelle and I have conflicting opinions, but through our conversations, we discuss what truly constitutes a sincere approach, and I believe we're making progress. During the day, I work as her secretary, and somehow, in the afternoons when Amy returns from school, I've started looking after her. Hey, Joe. Hey, guess what? What? Tomorrow, we have open class at school. When I told Mom, she said to ask you to come. Why me? These kinds of exchanges happen after school, and whether it's open classes or talent shows, I find myself involved in Amy's school events. But it's interesting in its own way. Being able to attend events usually reserved for parents, I find joy in it. Since then, a lot has changed. Bob, who always looked down on me, was fired from the company. It seems his performance plummeted after I moved to the secretarial department. An investigation by Michelle and the management revealed that he had been claiming other people's work as his own. I never imagined he was capable of something like that. Seriously. Ultimately, a leak from someone in the department and the investigation's findings about his underhanded methods and outrageous behavior with clients led to his dismissal. Michelle and I had a lengthy debate about whether to fire him or not, but in the end, her view prevailed. Honestly, he did wrong, so maybe there was no need for me to defend him. Joe, what's up, Amy? Today's sports day was awesome, right? I won first place. Yeah, you were really fast. Great job, Amy. Do you really think so? You've been zoning out since I started talking. Sorry, I really do think so. Then, I want a reward. A reward. Joe, be my dad. What is she talking about? Confused, I walked Amy home, and she started throwing a fit, so I ended up visiting their house. Today, I won first in the race. That's amazing. Joe, you filmed it, right? Yes, I did. Let's watch it then. Oh, but wait, I promised Amy. If she did well at the sports day, she gets a reward. So that's why Amy said that earlier. It clicked. But wait a minute. Isn't this situation a bit awkward? Yes. I told Joe earlier. I want a dad. Amy, wait a minute. I tried to laugh it off, but this wasn't a situation to be merely observed. Amy, you can't just say things like that. It's not fair to your mom. Why? Mom even told me. Oh, I can't wait to see how well Amy did. Joe, can you set up the video? Mom, did you lie to me? It's not exactly lying. So, it's settled then. Like her mother, Amy was quite the forceful Cupid. And that's how we started dating. Me, Michelle, and Amy. Together, we're enjoying our time and sincerely engaging with each other.